is The Hub on Hollywood. I'm James.
I'm Jamie.
Oh, and we love spooky movies. We love spooky, scary movies.
That's what we're talking about today. We're so lame.
This is the Halloween special edition of The Hub on Hollywood.
Yes.
We're dressed up as ghoulish characters.
Yeah. I am a skull of some kind.
Yeah.
And you were in a terrible accident,
I'm a
James.
scarred monster who deserves no love.
Oh, even the monsters deserve.
Even the monsters.
We'll talk about Frankenstein in a little bit. But Happy Dia de los Muertos, that's what it is today.
Yes.
Saturday.
We've had some people in the newsroom saying, oh, Halloween has already passed. Why are you doing this spooky stuff? Well, you know what? Dia de los Muertos is today.
Correct.
And it's a Halloween weekend.
It's exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It extends. And for me, I'm going trick-or-treating today because there was horrible weather earlier in the week. So Halloween lives on.
Yeah, pish posh to everyone else who says it's over.
Pish
no,
posh.
it lives. It rises from the dead.
It lives through us, James.
Yeah, so we have another jam-packed episode, a lot of stuff to talk about.
We always have so much.
Yeah, always
we really
such
do.
great content.
All right, so let's start with a few things that are happening here in Massachusetts.
Yes.
All right, so casting calls out there right now. A couple of things filming in the chilly November weather, even though
spooky weather.
The spooky November weather. We spoke with location scout Mark Fitzgerald a couple episodes ago, and he made the excellent point that Massachusetts has this wonderful scenery for this time of the year. You've got the falling leaves, you've got all the historic buildings, you've got the brick, you've got the creep factor, the
weather.
old factor. You could, so we've got a few things filming. We've got love, weddings, and other disasters that's still going on. We've got something interesting that's new that is just starting to film. It's called John and the Hole. Okay, coming of age thriller about the frightening consequences when a young teenage boy finds a hole in his backyard.
Interesting.
That could lead
now,
to a number of things.
Most things don't end well when young boys find holes around.
That's different kinds of movies can come out of that. But in general, if you think about the movie Holes, more in that direction. But like a scary thriller coming of age kind of tale. I have no idea, but it is filming now in the Massachusetts, New England area. Also spotted out and about was Hubie Halloween.
Yeah, so in Salem, the Halloween capital of the world, of course, on Halloween, everybody floods there. Like hundreds of thousands of people go to Salem every year to celebrate Halloween. And why not take advantage of the real life, the horror and the people dressed up as costumes? So apparently, Adam Sandler's new film, Hubie Halloween, that's filming in Marblehead and in Salem, they sent out a camera crew to get some real live shots of people dressed
real
up.
People
yeah. So if you were in Salem on Halloween or then during this weekend, very possible that you may have, or your costume may have maybe popping up in the new film.
God, it's just so wonderful to be here with everything that's happening, and we keep talking about this. More and more films are coming here. Big giant pictures, everyone from Hollywood. We've got that great film credit, and they are ready to make us Hollywood East.
Do you think people are getting not tired, but getting used to seeing cameras now and seeing things set up on stage?
Maybe more than they used to.
Yeah.
For sure. But it's always really exciting, and we want to keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Keep it coming. Yeah. So Hubie Halloween, one of the many films, Halloween films being filmed in New England.
Yes.
Yeah.
And speaking of Halloween films, so we're going to be talking about a few of our favorites. One of them we just wanted to mention up front, Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, the classic Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
Coming out. I mean, so now I haven't read too much about it. Have you read, what this new film, the sequel, is going to be focused about? Because I understand the original actors are not coming forward.
They are.
They are coming back.
They are.
Thank
goodness. Of the original cast, well, the original witches at least, have signed on for the sequel for Hocus Pocus. I cannot tell you how happy I am that this is not a remake.
Yeah. Or
and
reboots.
Or a remake, because just kill us now. We're already dead.
Too late.
Exactly. But I'm so happy that this is a sequel. And they are bringing back the magnificent Bette Midler.
Yes.
And
Sarah
everyone,
Jessica Parker.
Yes.
And I'm forgetting the third actress.
We're sorry.
I know.
Yeah.
Sorry, third actress. But your image in film history lives on.
Yes, and it lives on in our memories as children. And watching those things, like, those are the kinds of films that you watch, and maybe as an adult it's just fun, but when you're a kid, it's like, the drama really gets to you, and it's like really scary, or it can be.
And for a Disney film, that's that, and that came out in 1993, and so it's one of those films just like A Nightmare Before Christmas. You you have to watch it. It's always on TV on a constant loop. So it's one of those things that I'm glad that they're making a sequel with the original cast. If it wasn't for that, I'm not sure how I would feel about it.
James asked me where you can watch it.
Hey, where can you watch it?
Disney Plus, of course.
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah.
Because everything that Disney owns, they are now pulling away from all of the other streaming services out there to put onto their very own streaming service, Disney Plus.
Yeah. So if you weren't sold, with Disney Plus, if The Mandalorian or the new Kenobi series, or if any of the other stuff that they've been pumping out and teasing hasn't sold you yet, Hocus Pocus, if that's your thing,
sequel,
maybe that's the thing to pull you over to Disney Plus.
My goodness, their marketing is unmatched. It is absolutely unmatched. And the content that they have, that they're taking away from everyone else. We have no choice, James. We have no choice.
Again, it's a terrible but great thing. They keep making great films, and so you can't complain too much.
The mouse.
But speaking about great films, do you want to go into the best, our favorite scary horror themed movies?
I do.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
We're
you
breaking them down. All right. So
because I am a chicken, James.
You're not a big fan of the horror movies.
I'm not a big fan of the horror movies or the scary movies, but there are a few that have really gotten to me, gotten through to me when I was, forcibly dragged to the theater or had to sit through it at home. And there are a few things that are, not so terrifying, but just spooky, that are just, obviously classics that change your life. Yeah. So let's talk about. I was going to say,
for me though, I developed a love for horror movies at a young age. One of the among the many horror movies I've seen or watched at a young age included The Exorcist, include Friday the 13th. And so while my sister, it took her 3 times to watch The Exorcist, because the first time she watched it, she would watch it but covering her ears. The second time she watched it, she closed her eyes throughout the whole thing and only listened to it. So was she
like the monkeys that,
pretty much, and
see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil?
Yeah, but it took her a while to watch the whole thing in its entirety, completed. But for me, I loved it. I got a thrill out of, getting spooked and scared. Yeah. I know, obviously, not everyone's like that. Clearly, you're not like that.
No. I still refuse to this day to see The Exorcist.
It's so good.
The problem for me, James, is that these things are based on quasi real life. Yeah. And then I just can't stop thinking about it for days and days, and then I can't,
after
watching,
have to
sleep with the lights on, and
no joke. I went to Catholic school, grew up raised Catholic, and so watching The Exorcist, it makes you think, oh man, I could get possessed at any second, and so I understand it. So when you have that faith background, in that culture also, then there's certain movies that hit really close to home and can really freak you out. But for my favorite movies, I kind of broke them down as in 2 categories: the fun, spooky ones, and then the other ones the real scary horror, blood curdling.
I just have to say, I love your organization here. I just love these lists. If you're listening on
Spotify or
iTunes, it's just everywhere. A very, very pretty list.
Yeah, thank you. Again, that is not the writing, the cursive, the penmanship.
Fun spookies where you got me. So let's start there.
So of course, Hocus Pocus came out in 1993. That movie was, now correct me if I'm wrong, because we already spoke about Hocus Pocus, how it was pushed, I think, ahead of schedule or behind schedule with because of the Nightmare
Before Christmas, right?
Exactly.
Right.
But that movie is a classic. More than 20 years later, it's still on TV, and it's one of those movies you have to go back to. So I always go back to that one. Also on the list, Young Frankenstein with Gene Wilder.
Absolutely.
A classic. One of the funniest, not only just horror or scary themed movies in general, or comedies in general, just one of the best comedies ever, I think, put to film.
100%. Mel Brooks, anything that he has ever done. But yes, young Frankenstein in particular.
Then following that up, I have Ghostbusters, 1984, the original Shaun of the Dead with Simon Pegg, and lastly, one of my guilty pleasure horror scary movies is Scary Movie with Anna Faris. Of course, they came out with 15 other ones afterwards, but the original first one, it's so funny. Like, I saw it in theaters, and I saw it at a very young age. I'm not sure if I should have probably seen it at that young age, but yeah, it was hilarious. And
what's up?
Exactly.
And
the
Ghostface guy, Ghostface.
So those are my fun, spooky kind of favorite movies. Now, getting into the heavier duty, the more grisly, scary movies. Of course, my favorite all-time horror movie is Halloween, the 1978 version, the original one with Michael Myers. My sister, she used to confuse him with Mike Myers, Austin Powers.
Yes.
Yeah. And so,
a little bit different.
Yeah. So Halloween is a classic, absolute masterpiece. The Exorcist, of course, we were just talking about it, had a huge impact on me, especially with, raised Catholic. That had extra weight to it, I think. Alien, even though that's a sci-fi movie, it's also a horror movie set in space.
Yeah.
And so that's a classic. The Thing, 1982 version. John Carpenter's The Thing. If you haven't seen these films yet, you should watch these first and quickly because they're classics for a reason. Jaws. Now, Jaws takes place on a beach, obviously in the water. You don't really think about horror and scary. You think about more, haunted houses. But this is, I consider it a horror movie too.
Yeah, my father-in-law, it's like literally the only movie that he watches. It's his favorite film of all time, filmed here in New England. And my poor husband grew up watching nothing but Jaws. This was like the only authorized movie in the household.
That's a weird choice. In this household, we only watch Jaws.
And so I've had to bring him up to speed on like so many classics because growing up, he was only allowed to watch Jaws at home, and he missed a lot of things.
To be fair, if you're forced to only watch one movie for your whole life upbringing, why not Jaws?
Yeah,
Jaws is great for a reason too.
That's a bad hat, Harry.
Yeah. So the movies I mentioned, they're kind of older films. Some of the newer films that I liked include Jordan Peele's Us and Get Out. Us came out earlier this year. It seems like forever ago, but it came out earlier this year, and Get Out as well. So those are some really cool, fresh movies. Jordan Peele, he's doing the Twilight film series for CBS. The streaming service. And so whenever he's coming out with a new scary movie, I'm always down to check that one out.
Absolutely.
Have you ever heard,
Go for it.
Have you ever heard of this movie in 1997 starring Sam Neill called Event Horizon?
No, I have not.
Ooh, that one. That's another movie, again, 1997. So I was 7 years old. That movie, I probably shouldn't have seen at that age because that scarred me and my sister for like a life.
What are you doing watching all of these movies as a little kid?
I think my parents put us in the environment, so we had to either sink or swim, and so we had to develop, or at least me, an appreciation for horror.
Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Rojas.
Yeah, so Event Horizon takes place in space, and Sam Neill, he's one of the leaders of this ship that's on this mission to find this other lost ship that has gone over the Event Horizon. But by crossing through a wormhole, they actually pierce like hell itself. And so it mixes space and hell. It's weird to explain, even weirder to watch, but I recommend watching it.
All right.
On a
That sounds like it'll make me afraid to go on a boat.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like Alien, where even though you're in the vastness of space, you're trapped and confined in this spaceship.
Okay.
And so it has a lot of cool visual effects, a lot of dark imagery. If you want to get really spooky and stuff, this one has some dark imagery that that could give you nightmares.
Not really looking forward to piercing hell anytime soon or anything like that. But Alien, is this the one where the alien pops out of the guy? Yeah, so I've often seen I've seen a couple of very cool women who have had baby shower cakes.
Yeah,
where it's like the baby, like the belly and the alien popping out. It's also my the only reason I know that about Alien because like I said, I'm a chicken. Is Spaceballs. Is when they parodied it at the end of
another
Spaceballs.
Mel Brooks movie. Yeah,
another Mel Brooks movie. Anything Mel Brooks. My favorite Mel Brooks movie that is not on topic is History of the World Part 2.
Great.
So if anyone has seen that, there's a part at the end where, they're like, the street is crawling with soldiers, and they're literally crawling up the street. Oh my God.
Now you say scary movies, you're not a huge fan of them. Are you willing to go, say with your husband or friends, if you guys want to go see a scary movie, are you willing to go?
I just need to be approached in the right way. I need to be, I need to be bribed.
Like, okay, we'll get you popcorn and candy
to get me used to the idea and all this. But I will say, as far as scary movies that are like legit, there to freak you the hell out, Paranormal Activity.
That was good.
Yeah, I want to put that on the list.
Yeah, when that came out in theaters, that was like a phenomenon, kind of like the Blair Witch Project, where when the Blair Witch Project, that's another great one. When that came out, it was again sold as being a real life incident, a real documentary, or kind of a makeshift lost footage thing. Right. And then when Paranormal Activity came out, I remember the trailers for that, the hyping it up was pretty much just shots of the audience reacting to the screen.
Yes,
and
I remember that
that
too.
alone was enough to get everyone else to flood into the movie theater, myself and my family included.
Yeah, I willingly went to this because of, like you said, the marketing. I'm like, okay, you know what? I can go for a movie that doesn't feel real. That's scary, but I'm like, it's just aliens. It's not going to happen to me. But I went to go see Paranormal Activity, and it was, oh my God, it's just so well done. Yeah. And, you see some movies where it's like, oh, I'm just pretending to be a normal guy. And it's like, that person's going to die. But it's like, no, this is like a found footage, like you were saying, kind of thing. Like their home movies and stuff like that. And it was just so well put together between the home movie footage and the security footage and the slow progression of something that was like funny into something like what the hell's going on to you stole and ate my baby.
No, because like for there are, I think, two types. I mean, there are multiple types of horror movies, but I think the most common is that, for one example, The Thing. That one is like an alien that came to Earth, and now it's disguising as you're a fellow person, and but when it does reveal itself, it's a hideous monster, and you're scared of this monster, but watching it, this is out of reality. It's pretty fake. If you watch something like Paranormal Activity, that hits a lot closer to home because, a lot of people believe in ghosts and have their own personal ghost stories. And so that could be a lot more horrifying, just the idea of a ghost, more horrifying than a visual monster that's like ripping people apart because, the monster ripping people apart, that's not real life. Right. But the ghost, that could happen to anybody in any room, anywhere.
Yeah, the little thing that moves on the table or the light that goes off unexpectedly. That is much scarier to me than any CGI creation possibly could be. We should tell scary stories. Do you have a ghost story, James?
Yeah, so I have one. Again, this was maybe when I was 5 years old. My family, we lived in this old house with like hardwood floor, and there are certain parts where if you walk on it, you hear the creeping and the creaking of the wood. And my mom and my sister were out shopping, grocery shopping or whatnot. My dad was in his bedroom, and I was in my bedroom playing with toys or whatnot. And I remember like distinctly playing, and then I heard footsteps coming from the direction of where the front door or the garage is. And so I thought, oh, my mom, my sister, they're back home. So I heard footsteps. I go running out to the hallway, and nobody's there. And I instantly, like, blood felt like it was draining out of my body. I ran back to my dad's room. I yelled, like, Dad, there's somebody in the house, because I legit heard somebody walking right outside my door, and my dad was in his room. And so, so I stayed in the bedroom. My dad searches the whole house and everything, and of course, no one's there. So that's my ghostliest story that I remember.
All right.
You?
Well, I totally grew up in a haunted house. There was something up there. And I remember being a little girl, like 7, 8 years old, not that young, like young enough, old enough to know what's going on. And I'd be sitting downstairs and looking at our stairs, and I could hear footsteps. I can hear people going up the stairs and down the stairs, and slowly and then quickly. And I'm looking around. It's broad daylight. I'm wide awake. And I look back at the stairs, and I can see them creaking.
Oh.
I can see them moving. And I eventually told I told my father about this. Like, it kept going. Like this was a normal occurrence. And we were in a townhouse, but the house next door was one story. They didn't have any stairs. They were thick walls. We couldn't hear anything on their side. So eventually he went and he got like a giant jug of holy water and put it under the stairs. The Catholic churches down there, they've got like supply stores.
Don't bless anything. You want to get a bucket of water? Yeah.
We got a bucket of holy water and put it under the stairs. And after that, they were gone.
Interesting.
And we never heard those steps again.
Now, how long did you keep that bucket of holy water there?
A few days. You just want to make sure.
Yeah, of course.
And then you like dump it out really far from the house. Yeah. Like, you chuck the ghosts out,
Interesting.
Into the neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
No, yeah. My sister, she's had, when she's woken up in the middle of the night and she's seen like once like a white, like a ghostly white figure, like of a little girl, like watching her. And actually, my mom, she's really into the supernatural, paranormal stuff, and she's actually said that she's seen the same image of like while we were moving out, like the day we were moving out in like broad daylight. She looks down the hall and she says she saw the white figure of a little girl, kind of transparent, kind of see through, and then it vanished. And then me, I like evidence. I like things to support. So the very last day before we moved out, I'm like, okay. So I went to the garage and closed the door, lights on because I'm not crazy. But like I closed the garage, and I'm young. I'm probably maybe 12 years old or something. And then I'm sitting on the dryer, and I'm saying out loud, "All right, well, this is my last day here. So if anybody wants to say anything or do anything, like now's your time," because like our house, we felt it was a haunted also.
It's like, come on, bro.
I'm not come on. I want to see this. I want to see some real stuff. Nothing happened, but again, like that spooky nature. I mean, I like to get. I mean, maybe it's a thrill.
Yeah,
get the blood pumping.
Do you feel like Hispanic houses are way more haunted than everyone else's?
I feel like Hispanic houses or households are more superstitious and more spiritual. And so I think that
more open
to the idea, and maybe that is my mom. Again, my mom's very into the supernatural stuff, and she has like this weird sixth sense. So maybe if you're more open to it, you're more inviting to it, and so you get to see or experience things more. Or maybe we're all crazy, Hispanics, right?
Yeah, right. And then as we're talking about, letting ghosts in, they're like filling up behind us.
I know, right? Speaking about behind us, for those not watching us on YouTube, which you should be watching us, but for those listening, we've decorated the studio with the upside down lights, lettering,
because we've talked about movies, but of scary TV shows. Stranger Things.
Yeah, there are great...
Top of my list.
There are great scary scenes or sequences in Stranger Things, and I'm forgetting his name right now, but it's probably going to pop in my head. But the kid who gets possessed by the thing, like that kid's a great actor.
By the Demogorgon?
Yeah, because I think it was at the end of the end of an episode in season 2 where he gets possessed and he's on the floor compulsing and shaking. Convulsing, rather. Thank you. He's pulsating, he's doing everything. And that scene alone, like that was unnerving of how scary it was seeing this kid shake like that. So it has great moments where it's spooky and scary.
And just everything with Eleven and what she can do and when she's using her powers and the nosebleeds and just the visuals of the Demogorgon and the way that monster is, and especially this last season with it being in the real spoiler alert of it being in the real world and the way that they made that work through the possession of characters it's just really well done all the way around as far as storytelling and building that suspense and then really paying off with a monster that is a CGI monster but is actually scary because they make it subtle. So
now let me ask you. Now I'm going to ask you a question that I plan to transition into something else. But what child actors or like in horror movies have you been impressed by? Like for example, the Stranger Things kids, or is there another movie that like a child actor that pops out to you? Because for me,
go for it.
For me, I love The Shining also. And in The Shining, you have like the twins, the haunted ghost twins. Those are great actors. Also, the kid who plays Danny, the young boy, that boy is a great he never acted in anything other than The Shining ever again. But in that performance, he did a great job.
I'm going to answer your question with a quote.
Go for it.
James. I see dead people.
Yes, Haley Joel Osment. Yeah, that's another great classic too.
Yeah, there's so many.
Shyamalan. Yeah, if you haven't seen any of the movies we've been talking about in this episode, please watch any of them. It could be any of them, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Now's the time, man. Yes. It's a great spooky weekend.
Before
a
Christmas
lot of these things
comes,
are on TV.
Before Christmas and that happy season comes around, and you want to stay spooked out, watch that. But speaking about The Shining, a couple of horror movies that I'm looking forward to include the sequel to The Shining, which is Dr. Sleep, starring Ewan McGregor.
Starring Ewan McGregor. Yes, very exciting. Written by
Stephen King.
Stephen King, who is a local here from Maine. Everything that he does, very prolific creator, writer. All of that. But yes, we are getting a sequel to The Shining.
And I've been hearing good things. I'm actually hearing really good things where not only is, for The Shining, when Kubrick made the movie, he didn't really follow the literature, and so Stephen King himself has said he's not a big fan of The Shining, the movie, just because he took a lot of liberties with the script and with the story. With this one, I hear there's a real good solid balance between the book and creating their own, with the filmmaker creating his own adaptations. And so I'm really excited. I've heard great things about this. I've heard it is really scary.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of Ewan McGregor. And his work and
Obi-Wan.
his charisma. Yes. Hello there.
Hello there.
Well, hello there. And his charisma. So that's definitely something to be looking forward to.
Yeah. And another horror movie I'm looking forward to, and it may be surprising, but it's a Marvel movie that's coming out next year.
Yes.
Speaking about another doctor, the first one's Dr. Sleep. This one's Doctor Strange. And his new film is gonna be The Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
And we've been told that this is gonna be the first horror film in the Marvel collection.
Right. So, it would be interesting to see how they actually pull that off and how much of a horror film it would actually be, because you think Marvel, you think just
fun, campy,
entertainment.
Kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
No.
So what are the stakes going to be? That, what makes a horror movie is that the stakes are your life.
Exactly.
And they're high and you feel it. So.
And I'm excited for them to explore the different multiverses and different dimensions, because that's when you could really play with like the really weird stuff of Marvel comics.
Yeah.
So that I'm looking forward to.
Speaking of campy, though,
yes,
I just wanted to get this mention in a movie that came out a couple of years ago, zombie love flick. Yeah, for the Raylos out there, Warm Bodies. About a zombie who falls in love with a human girl, and she somehow helps cure him of his zombieism with love and through his heart. And this was originally a book, a novel which I read ahead of time. And the book's always better. People say the book is always better, but in this case, the book and the movie were both very, very good and well executed and so cute. That's my kind of zombie movie.
Yeah. So
the one where there's a love story and brains. Yeah.
Love story and brains? Clearly it's not a love story, because no one thinks correctly in a love story.
He ends up feeling bad about eating her boyfriend's brains.
I mean, who wouldn't feel bad?
Yeah, there's some people who wouldn't feel bad.
That is true.
Yeah. All right. Well,
perfect.
That's a lot of horror.
A lot of horror. Well, let's talk about another movie. It's not we'll talk about another sequel.
Yes.
Speaking about sequels,
which is kind of scary.
Yeah, let's talk about a Terminator Dark Fate.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun.
It came out just this week in films, in theaters rather. So this film, well, let's set the stage. So Terminator Dark Fate, rated R, 2 hours, 8 minutes long, directed by Tim Miller, who directed Deadpool. So it's really cool. Don't look at my notes. Don't look at my notes.
I can read if I want to.
You're gonna listen to me.
Then put up a barrier.
So directed by Tim Miller, starring Linda Hamilton. She has returned as Sarah Connor. The first time she's been in a Terminator film since T2, Terminator 2. Yeah. So a long time coming. Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, playing the T-800. He's all this T-800, this Terminator. He's living a human life. Yes, which I'll explain.
Exactly. That was going to be my first question for you. To please. I
will explain. Other more characters: Mackenzie Davis, she plays Grace. Natalie Reyes, Danny Ramos, Gabriel Luna, he plays the new Rev 9 Terminator, and I'll talk about him too. But the story about this is more than 20 years have passed since T2, when Sarah Connor prevented Judgment Day. She, however, has to work with this hybrid human cyborg to protect a young woman who's being hunted by this new Terminator. Now,
it's always a Terminator.
There's always who would have thought there'd be Terminators in the Terminator franchise?
But you defeat so many Terminators, and they just keep coming, and they keep coming, and they keep coming. How many times are you going to change the future?
And according to this movie, more Terminators will be coming. But now, whether you like this movie or not, I think it depends which camp you're in, and I think there are two camps. Okay. So the first camp is if you've been wanting to see Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton kick some robot butt, be badass. If you want to see her teaming up with Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Terminator again, I think you're going to enjoy this movie. If you want a fairly impressive sequence of action scenes, if you want, that high adrenaline stuff, I think you're going to enjoy this movie. If you, on the other end, if you're in the second camp of, if you really value T1 and T2, Terminator 1 and 2, and you love what they set up, everything that they did.
Like continuity-wise, yeah.
I think if you love that, I think you're going to hate this movie.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and so, if you're looking for a fresh, new movie or a new take on it, I don't think you're going to really like this movie. I kind of compare it to A New Hope and The Force Awakens comparison, where this is a new set of movies, but it kind of feels like a rehash, kind of like setting up a reset, if you would. And so my review, it's a great, I think it's a good action film if you're looking for fun and stuff. If you're into what was set up, like I mentioned, in T1 and T2, I don't think you're gonna really like the direction they went in this. I'm not going to spoil it because there are a lot of spoilers a lot of things I could say that would, give away key details about the film. But one thing I will say, we'll talk about the strengths and weaknesses. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Go.
So the strengths, of course, Linda Hamilton, she's returning as Sarah Connor. Not everyone enjoyed her take or her comeback or her character. I thought it worked. I thought stop looking at my notes.
But I'm listening.
Okay, so again, I think she fits right back into character. I like what they've done with her and where she is now 20 years afterwards. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's the Terminator. He is, this is his role.
Yeah.
This version of it's a little bit different, a little bit funnier. Which I enjoyed, which I liked, which I liked, but at the same time, that's also one of the negatives because what we see with this new Terminator kind of contradicts everything we've learned with the previous films.
All right, you have to answer the question for me. You have to answer why is he old?
So
why?
So basically, every Terminator that goes back in the past, aside from the liquid version of it, they need.
It's my favorite version.
Yeah, to be able to go back in time, a living organism has to be only living organisms can be transferred to the past, and so that's why the Terminators and the people like Kyle Reese, they come back naked because not even clothing can come back. So the robot, in the story, is covered with actual living organic skin, and so that skin, like any else that's living, ages and grows old. And so that's the thing. So the skeleton of the Terminator still exists and still, the same strength, same everything. but the outer layer, the living layer, that's the part that grows old.
Feels like they just needed to come up with an excuse for Arnold Schwarzenegger getting old.
That is exactly what it is. That's exactly the excuse.
Because this was not part of the, the lore, beforehand, was it?
To be fair, yeah. I mean, they explain in T1 that only living organisms can do that, so I can buy the theory of like, okay, if this is living skin on a Terminator, then in theory, why not? Why can't it grow old also? That's how I see it. I'm okay with that.
What about Metal Guy? Metal Guy have organic
liquid
skin?
guy?
Liquid Guy.
Well, I guess, he was a prototype Terminator, and so I'm not sure. Yeah,
it's not real. Okay.
Yeah, it's also a movie about fighting robots. Actually,
and time travel.
I was going to say it's a fantasy fighting robots, but now that's actually becoming a reality with Boston Dynamic robots.
Yeah.
Now that they could do flips and chase people now.
This is the place to be.
Let me wrap this up. So, but another great strength of it are the graphics. The graphics are pretty good. But one thing that a part of the movie that was great, like the graphics part that was mind-blowing, was when they had this kind of flashback scene and they showed a younger Linda Hamilton and a younger Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it looked really good. They're doing such great work with de-aging and the technology that I think they've reached the point, kind of with The Irishman and like Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese, what they're doing. They've gone to the point where they're able to de-age an actor and it's passable. And in this film, how they de-aged Linda Hamilton and Arnold, amazing, I think. If anything, I was impressed by that. Yeah. So if anything, watch the movie for that.
I could probably see why they wouldn't want to spend money to do that for the entire movie, though. So
yeah.
Okay.
As for the weaknesses, again, the film is pretty much it kind of retcons T1 and T2. I won't say what they do, but it kind of.
Well, if you're thinking about timelines and time travel, it could just be a different dimension. It could just be a different.
Don't tell that to the diehards. Don't tell that to the diehards. I can't.
And what? Diehards. And what?
Oh, now you can start playing with the story. Now you can start playing. Now you're against the skin aging, but you're okay with everything else. These different timelines.
I'm just picking fights for fun.
I know. The storyline, the plot's not the best. It's a simple thing.
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of like a rehash if you think about the New Hope and the Force Awakens. It's kind of similar beats. So that's not new. The film is the biggest strengths, again, I think, are like the new Terminator. I love the new character design for the new evil Terminator. Yeah. So I thought that was one of the great strengths. So basically, if you want an action film, if you want to see Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor kick butt, if you want to munch popcorn and enjoy an action film, you can go and watch it. If you're a diehard, a purist of T1 and T2, I would think twice of watching. Whatever Dark
happened
Fate.
To T3? Wasn't that with the cute little guy? And
so pretty much they said ignore all the rest of the films. That
one was my favorite.
I didn't like that one. Yeah,
he was so genuine and adorable.
He wasn't a leader. He wasn't a. I know I wasn't at that point of being a hardcore general leading the human race, but I wasn't buying it. Yeah, he was a cute actor. I wasn't buying him as an actual leader, and things. Yeah, and so So I'm not a big fan of the other Terminator movies. I haven't seen Genesis. I
didn't see those either.
Yeah, so
but Arnold Schwarzenegger, funny, original cast, some new folks. It sounds awesome. I can't wait to see it.
Awesome. Well, perfect. Now, is there any films that you're looking forward to?
Yes, I really wanted to see Jojo Rabbit, which is out right now, and I'd love to give a review on that. Unfortunately, it's not playing in all theaters. It's playing in some of the major cities, but it's not in every single theater, which is it's just frustrating.
You're gonna have to really
I live in the boonies.
Watch it, yeah.
But yeah. Jojo Rabbit. I'd love to see the other one that you saw, the old grainy one.
Oh, The Lighthouse.
Yes, with Robert Pattinson.
I saw The Lighthouse. I was gonna review it. I think I need to watch it again because there's a lot going on in that film, and so I don't feel like I fully grasped
what was going on
enough of what was going on.
Is it because the screen is like really, really little?
It looks beautiful. It's shot beautifully. The cinematography is amazing. The acting is amazing, but the story's confusing. The story is pretty simple, but there's a lot of stuff that goes. Again, it's basically a story about this guy who's losing his mind.
Yeah,
and you're kind of feeling like you're losing your own mind while watching him.
Love it. Can't wait.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to watch it again to appreciate it and try to understand it. But
what movies do you want to see? What movies do you want for us to watch and then talk about? Let us know here on the Hub on Hollywood.
Yeah, the Hub on Hollywood. If you haven't subscribed yet to us on YouTube or we're on every major streaming service. So Spotify, iHeartRadio.
We've been working hard, guys. Yeah. iHeartRadio, Stitcher, I think is the other one. iTunes.
Apple iTunes, yeah.
Apple
Podcasts.
Here on YouTube, where you can see our adorable costumes and our faces. And you can hear us whenever you would like. So like us, share us, gotta have us, retweet. Everything really does help us out. And we love talking about what we are talking about, and we'd love to keep doing it for you.
Yeah, so let me ask you, what is your favorite horror film? And it doesn't have to be super scary. It could be fun, like Hocus Pocus, kind of light. But what is your, when Halloween comes around, what's your favorite film to pop in and rewatch?
And I'd like to see your costumes, too.
Yeah. If you have costumes, please shoot us photos on or to our Instagram, which is Hub on Hollywood, or Twitter, which is also at Hub on Hollywood. We'd love to do that. We'll probably tweet out a photo of our selfie that we took with our ghoulish monster makeup. But yeah,
if anybody needs a makeup artist, apparently I'm awesome. So, but thank you again for listening to us, joining us, watching us on this Hub on Hollywood
Halloween special spooky edition. Ooh.
And we'll see you next time.
Great, thank you. Bye.
Bye.